Welcome to Franchise Spotlight, where we showcase unique franchise opportunities that give you the chance to build wealth, create a legacy, and take greater control of your future. Today, we're exploring USA Insulation, a residential insulation franchise that's built around a proprietary product and a focused approach to addressing a major need in the existing U.S. housing market. Let's put the spotlight on USA Insulation. Well, today I am excited to welcome Lynette Robinson, who's the Director of Franchise Development with Threshold Brands. Lynette leads growth for USA Insulation. It's a brand positioned around a very simple reality that millions of homes in America are under-insulated. Lynette, it's great to have you here on Franchise Spotlight.
Thanks. I'm excited to be here. I know we're going to have a great conversation.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I really enjoyed getting to know you and your brand when we were at the conference a couple of weeks ago in Phoenix. Very fascinating. I wasn't really aware of the breadth of this industry and the market, and I love how you convey this. So I'm excited that our listeners can hear your story here.
Thanks.
So
Yeah.
we talk about insulation. On the surface, if we don't really know about it, it can seem like kind of a small trade, right? Maybe a niche trade. But when you look at the national housing stock, it seems like the opportunity in insulation is substantial. So maybe you could help us, what exactly does USA Insulation do inside the home? Who's the ideal homeowner that you're
Yeah.
built to serve?
I think this is really fascinating to think about because I think you're right. I think a lot of homeowners, this is not top of mind, even though it should be, because there's so many factors here, right? Like we know that with as a homeowner, right? Like that there are things that you can do to improve the overall value of your home, but more importantly, like the lived experience, right? We spend so much time in our homes. Our homes should feel like a safe haven, but I hear countless stories of people who, there's that one bedroom. Maybe if you're listening, you're like, I have this, that one bedroom that you can't sleep in. It's too hot, it's too cold, or maybe, there's a part of your house that no matter what you do, you can't regulate the temperature and it impacts your lived experience inside those homes. And what I think is really interesting too is that, emerging research shows that 89% of homes in America are under insulated. And so this means that from a perspective of a business like ours, USA Insulation, there's so much opportunity to help improve the comfort and, of course, the savings that homeowners in America can experience inside their homes. And so what USA Insulation does is something really unique inside of the marketplace because we have a proprietary premium injection foam that allows us to re-insulate the wall cavity of an existing house. Now, this is really significant because other research shows from the Department of Energy that it's actually the walls, the wall envelope of your home, that is the primary culprit for energy loss in the home.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it kind of makes sense when you start to really break it down and think about it. It represents the biggest surface area in your home. And if you live in an older home, it's very likely that you have little to no insulation inside of your wall cavity. If you're thinking about this, it's like this could be a place where you're really making a big impact on that comfort, that lived experience. And so with our premium injection foam, we're able to re-insulate that wall cavity. We can do it from the exterior of the home. And most instances, we're doing it in a single day. Now, this is
Hmm.
really significant because if you are looking to improve the insulation of your home, your other alternative is pretty in-depth, right? It involves likely ripping down your drywall, putting something else in, and then re-drywalling, repainting, just all this stuff. And if anyone out there who's listening has ever done any sort of home project, you know that this is a huge pain and it takes up so much time and energy inside the home. And, I was telling, I think you, when we were meeting, a couple months ago, we did something. My husband changed out some lights and drilled into the drywall, and there's that drywall dust everywhere, and it just takes forever to get rid of. And with our
It's for sure.
solution, you don't have to deal with any of that. It's really convenient.
Mhm. No, I love it. And the story you told, I mean, I'm sure countless homeowners have experienced it. My wife and I experienced it last year. We had my daughter's bedroom. She moved out of the house,
Mhm.
and it had always been a little cold in the winter, a little hot in the summer. And by little, I mean a lot, but it is. But there was also in certain times of the year, this little blackness kind of running down the side that looked like mold would be forming, and we'd wipe it off and wipe it down. When we went to remodel the room, we tore out the sheetrock and all the blown in insulation was just gone. It was basically just an open cavity to the outside.
Yep.
So what you're saying really resonated with me. I think that recent experience for
Yeah,
sure.
because even if you live in a home that had insulation in the walls at some point, it will deteriorate over time. And so, exactly
Yeah.
what you experience is so common, these big, gaping holes inside of what should be, a fully insulated wall cavity. And with our solution, it's not going to settle over time the way some of those other solutions will. So, it's really significant.
Yeah, let's dive into that a little bit. What makes your proprietary foam and your really your consultative energy assessment approach, right? Why is that hard for competitors to replicate?
Well, I think part of it is that, we have this proprietary premium injection foam. It's different than a lot of what else is out there on the market. And sometimes
Mhm.
people misinterpret what I'm saying and think I'm talking about spray foam. And we do spray foam, we do blown in, we do all the other types of insulation avenues as well. But our
Mhm.
bread and butter, our real differentiator, the thing that's going to make a big impact for the homeowner is this injection foam. And so the injection foam again, goes in through the exterior of the wall and it kind of goes in and I'd say almost the consistency of a shaving cream. And
Okay.
then it fills the wall cavity and it will set and stiffen into a foam that's not going to settle over time. What's really nice about this is that, again, this is happening quickly, but it's also non-adhesive. So you're not, getting all that stickiness that you might get with, say, a spray foam or something like that.
Right. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we've all dealt with that.
Yeah.
So you as an insulation company, a franchisee of USA Insulation can do any of the insulation jobs. They can do all the traditional forms if necessary, but
Yeah.
the kind of the special arrow in the quiver is this proprietary injection foam, very easy, lower cost to insert because you're not doing all the tear down and rebuilding of
Yeah.
the rooms from the inside. And like you said, non-adhesive. So if it happens to go up against electrical components and you need to change an outlet at some point, it's not going to be stuck in there with the foam.
Yeah, exactly. And I think too, we look at our offerings as providing a whole suite of solutions to our homeowners, right? Because we
Mhm.
we want to be able to provide a whole home insulation solution for the homeowner. And in different parts of the home are going to maybe require different types of things, which is why we offer blown in and all these other things.
Sure.
But what a lot of our competitors are not able to do for the consumer is that wall cavity, which is again the place where you're going to have the highest impact of the insulation. You're really going to feel that right away. And one of the other things that oftentimes is a comment of our customers is even the sound dampening that you get from the insulation is really
Oh
significant.
yeah.
It's something that
Interesting.
a lot of homeowners are like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't realize how much road noise we had," or things like that. That can be
Sure.
a really nice added bonus.
No, that's fantastic. So I think when we talked before, Lynette, this is really positioned as a sales driven leadership business. You're not looking for technicians to come in and be insulators to run this, right? Maybe we can dive a little bit into the right profile, right? Who's the right person to perform best in a USA installation as a franchisee, and who might struggle with this?
This is a great question because I think anytime you're in the trades or in some of the home services, I think sometimes the knee jerk is, oh, I need to have some sort of experience in this. And of course, that's helpful, right? But we have really successful franchise owners in our system who have backgrounds as CPAs or backgrounds as salespeople or, all really diverse in terms of their professional background. But some of the common qualities that they share is this element of leadership, right? So you're going to start with a head count of 4 or 5, which is not a ton of people, but if you've
Right.
never led or managed people, we don't want that to be a hurdle. So that's something that when I'm in conversations with potential franchisees, I want to hear about their experience or at least their comfort level around, hey, I'm going to lead and grow a team because that team
Uh-huh.
is really essential in fulfilling the business. And yes, it's definitely a sales driven, this is a, how would I say this? This is a kind of one call close, a high ticket, high margin type of business, which is great. We love this, right? Our franchisees love this, and their numbers speak to this. But this means that, you don't necessarily have to be the salesperson, but you have to be comfortable with the idea that this is an essential function inside of the business.
Yeah.
I personally hold this belief that sales is a skill, which means that anyone can learn. And we're really fortunate here at USA Installation because we have a world-class sales trainer and coach who is there to walk our franchisees and their teams through our very well-defined and well-refined sales process to make sure that any franchise owner and their team that are going through the play are running the script, they're going to be successful in that way.
No, that's great. Yeah, I appreciate that. And I think that's a good distinction. You're not just looking for owners who are salespeople themselves, right? That need to be able to sell, but they have to recognize the importance of the function, give it the proper attention, and really make sure that they have a successful sales team that they're measuring and incentivizing and who are out there getting it done every day. Right.
Yeah, exactly. A large majority of our franchise system runs on the entrepreneur operating system, so EOS.
Okay.
And if
Mhm.
you've ever read the book Traction, you are familiar with this concept. And one of the concepts that is outlined in that book is the idea of, EWC, gets it, wants it, has the capacity to do it. And so this is something that we are really in touch with. We want to, measure, monitor, and adjust when it comes to the person who's sitting in that role, making sure that you've got the right person in the right seat for that sales role to help you move your business forward. And so, like you said, while it's great if you have sales experience, if you do, let's talk and we'll have a good time together. But if you don't, understanding that you've got resources at your disposal to help you do that, but then also those leadership skills where you can really make sure that your team is a high performing team and that everyone who's in their particular function is in the right role, is in the right seat, and is optimizing their skill set to move the business forward.
Okay. No, that's good. Let's think about year one franchisees, right? And let's help anybody who might be considering this concept to visualize what their life is like as a USA Installation franchisee. What are the owners doing in year one? And if there are different roles that people play, the owner operator versus maybe the more of an executive model, specify that to help us understand what successful looks like with a owner.
Sure. So I'll say this, while it's not our expectation that the owner is, the person in the truck doing the installs, it is our expectation that everyone in our system has a deep understanding and connection to our product because, with such a unique product and something that is truly diversified in the market space, we want everyone who's involved in our business to connect to that. Even I have been on a job site and done the things, and it's important. And so we feel like that connection is really important, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be your day-to-day role, right? So we believe that the owner should be involved in their business, especially in that first, 12 to 18 months. Our most successful owners are very engaged. They're thinking about daily activities like managing their team,
Mhm.
leadership, back end business development, monitoring sales goals, KPIs, and honestly, very importantly, a big part of this is engaging with the brand team.
Okay.
USA Installation is an incredible system. We've been around for over 40 years. This is a well established brand. The model is
That's terrific.
proven. We have been rated number one in our category again and again and again. This model works. And I was talking to someone earlier today because they asked a similar question. What makes a successful franchisee? What are the things that they're doing that differentiate them from the people who are just, doing okay? And I said without hesitation, they run the play. They run the play. This is the thing that is really valuable about a great franchise system like USA Installation is that we have an incredible model with a great playbook and it's there for you to implement. And then the team is there to help you fill in any of those gaps. And so our really successful owners are leaning into that. They're asking the
Hmm.
questions. They're showing up to their coaching calls and things like that because it makes a big difference. That's part of why we do franchising, right? To be in business for yourself, but never by yourself.
But never by yourself. Yeah. Oh, that's great. Thank you. Now, we think about territory, territory protection, right? The mix of housing that's in a territory. Seems like those are some things that would be very critical and important for the owners to know. How should a candidate maybe evaluate when they think about their local market? Does it have enough homes? Are there certain types of homes? Is it if they live in all area where it's all new construction? Is this an area like give us some sense on territory makeup and how people should think about their territories?
Sure. So at USA Insulation, we really focus on the retrofit market. So
Okay.
we are really honed in on this because and I think we talked about this before, right? Like this is our blue ocean. This is the place where we have really carved out a space where we're providing a unique solution to a real problem that the consumer has. And so we want to lean into that because that is where the highest margin is, the highest amount of opportunity, and the lowest amount of competition. So when we're
Mhm.
looking at territory, we are assessing it based on homes built before 1990. So for us,
Okay.
it's, 150,000 homes built before 1990. But what's great is that this doesn't mean that there aren't other homes in the market that can also benefit. In fact, we know that there are a lot of other homes that, just like we discussed, maybe they were built in the 2000s, but it's time for a refresh. So those homes can
Mhm.
be a great candidate for our product as well. And part of our sales process is to make sure that the home is a good fit for our product and for what we're providing to them. We really want to make sure that we are getting our customers the best possible outcome.
Mhm. No, that's terrific, and I love that element of the homes before 1990, right? You really are giving a franchisee a territory that has some meat on the bones,
Yeah,
right? So
deep
they have some
inventory,
runway.
really deep
Mhm. Deep
inventory
inventory.
for sure.
Yeah, yeah. How does that look for scaling when we think about the scalability of an owner? If they want to grow the business, is it naturally the first step is buy another territory, another unit, or is there scaling within the 150,000 home territory first that happens before they go multi-unit ownership? Talk a little bit about what growing the business looks like.
This is an excellent question because I think what I love about our model is that there are a lot of ways to grow. There are so
Mhm.
many ways to grow. Now, that being said, there are a very large majority of our owners that are multi unit owners because
Okay.
they see the incredible opportunity and they go and chase it, which we love. But that's not the only way that we see people grow. So you can grow by adding another truck and another team. Some of our owners have added, other buildings and, because while we don't have a retail space, you have a warehouse space, but
Mhm.
adding additional trucks is a big part of how we do this, right? Because then you can drive more volume each week. If you've got more trucks on the road, more teams out there, there's more opportunity coming your way.
Sure. So scaling out the number of trucks first, and then perhaps, I mean, some, like you said, some owners are going to come in and they're going to start with multiple territories. Maybe they're
Yeah,
experienced franchisees, but by and large, you see new owners starting with one territory, two. Like,
it
how does it
really,
normally
and
go?
I love this conversation because I think it's really important to think about what is your growth strategy? What is your
Mhm.
goal? And in some markets and for some owners, it's going to be the smart move to start with multi unit. Now, there
Okay.
are constraints, there are things to think about. There's capital, there's things that go into that conversation that are important to consider. But sometimes it really is the best move to start multi unit. Other times, other markets, other owners, starting with a single unit and then scaling within that unit and then adding is the better move. And I think this is an
Mhm.
important conversation to have with each and every individual potential franchise owner because it's their goals, right? That we're trying to help
Mhm.
them step into in their dreams. And, a 2, 3 territory business is going to function differently than a one territory business. And
Sure.
there are things to consider about that and really making sure that it's a good fit for the owner. But I think we've had great success both ways. So for us, it's not as though one is the path and one is just okay. I think that you can really have a lot of success with USA Insulation either way. And it gets to be
Mhm.
a valuable conversation that we have through this process to make sure that multi-unit or single unit is the right fit for your future goals.
Okay, no, that's a very balanced view and very, potential owner friendly. What do you want to be? How do you want to run this business? And personally, I know when I speak with my own clients, what does the future look like is obviously a core discussion point, right? And since you've been around for 40 years, your brand, not you, of course, but the brand, right, is over 40 years. What have you seen? Like, have you seen businesses pass down to children? Have you seen exits? Have you seen renewals so that it's an ongoing asset for decades and multiple, generations? Like, what have you seen for the future of owners?
Yes, so all of the above. I think
Okay.
and this is what I love, right, is that there's no right or wrong way to grow or exit your business, and it's really exciting to see that inside of our system, we've seen all of those things. We've seen people who
Mhm.
run their business as a family business, kids are involved and husbands and wives are involved, and that's amazing. We've also seen
Mhm.
people who, I'm here to build an asset, I'm doing the things, have successful exits, and they're on to their next venture, and that's also amazing. And, we additionally have franchise owners who've been with us since we began franchising, or people who are, starting into their second renewal, or whatever that might be. And I think that that's really valuable, right? To know that there's a lot of pathways and a lot of opportunity for what you do with the growth of your business. We recently had someone who had a very successful exit to their business, and they were amazing owners and we're so excited for them. And what's great is that the new owner coming in is also incredible. And so, anytime there's that, a resale or something like that, that's a great opportunity for both the exiting and the entering franchisee, just the same way that totally new development can be a really powerful opportunity.
No, fantastic. I appreciate the context because, that's an important part of the vision here for owners to think through. So thanks for the stories there.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the investment. If somebody wants to get into the USA insulation business locally, what when you think about what they need to be prepared to invest and what does that investment give them, right? So we know that there's franchise fees, of course, but what do they need to invest in to be successful at the beginning?
Yeah, so I'm going to ask you a clarifying question to make sure
Sure.
answering what you
Yeah, yeah.
are. You're looking at what's the total investment, or what are the main assets, or all of the above?
Yeah, yeah, all the above. Like somebody who's evaluating this, do I need a truck and a couple of guys? Is there, like you mentioned,
Mm,
warehouse space? Like what are the key, item seven, the big ticket
yeah,
items that you'd see
sure.
in the investment? Yeah.
Yeah, so for this brand, you will have a warehouse space. I like to really
Mhm.
highlight that this is not designed to be client facing or retail showroom or anything like that.
Mhm.
Mostly because I know firsthand from one of my businesses that that can be a very time consuming endeavor finding that space. Your rent's likely to be a lot higher. So this is a
Mhm.
benefit to the business for sure. It's a place to store vehicles, equipment, etc. One of the other
Mhm.
big assets is our truck, right? So imagining that we have this proprietary injection foam. Our delivery system is also proprietary. So that's all kind of encompassed in
Okay.
our truck, in the upfit, and all of that. So most people are going to start with one truck and a team of, typically three installers, an admin, and a salesperson. That's what they're going to
Okay.
begin with. And
Mhm.
like I said, simple warehouse space. And one of the other things is you're going to be thinking a lot about with this business is, getting the word out, those marketing efforts. USA
Mhm.
Installation and our marketing team, they just do an exceptional job at really helping fill the funnel and get
Mhm.
people calling and clicking and taking that next step. But those are a couple of the things that are going to be a top of mind in terms of where that investment is going.
Okay, no, that's very helpful for people to think through. And from the item 7, the investment range, like
Yep.
the safe middle ground of the investment range that you see.
Yeah, so our item 7 is going to show you that you're somewhere between like 299 and about 470,000. Most people are going to
Okay.
sit in that, middle range. And we have lots of people who very successfully use quite a few creative funding options, whether it's, the SBA, an SBA loan or a rollover of a 401k, cash, all sorts of things. And we've
Sure.
got some great funding partners to help with that. One of the other things that I think is really great about our system is that we actually have an internal financing program for the truck and the upfit,
Huh.
which is really significant because, as I said, that's one of your bigger assets and something that a lot of our owners are grateful to take part in.
Yeah, no, I imagine that would be, especially if it's proprietary injection system that fits inside these vehicles and all that goes into it. You're not just buying a $30,000 vehicle here, right? So,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
right,
It's a
that's
it's
good.
a pretty it's a pretty cool operation inside of there. Whenever I go to our locations, I'm always like, this is so cool. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
That sounds terrific. That's great. Let's talk a little bit about the robustness of the systems and the support that comes with being part of the USA Insulation family, right? Systems matter. What are you'd mentioned some marketing support. What are some of the specific, tools or processes or services or training that USA Insulation provides to its franchisees?
Yeah. So we have taken the training and support component of this business very seriously. We love to see our franchisees win, and we know that this is built on a couple things. First, a strong start, really making sure that onboarding and that setup of the business is really impactful. And I love having conversations with our franchisees, who are 5, 6+ years into their business, and
Mhm.
that many years on, them still talking about how impactful and how important the robustness of our onboarding program is. Because, this is the place where we're helping them get every single little piece of their business set up so they're ready for their future success. And so that's one, thing they get paired with an onboarding coordinator. They go through our pre and post launch strategy, all of these things. One of the things that they're doing during that time is that they're going to come to our state of the art training facility at our headquarters in Cleveland and get
Okay.
deep dive training around all the different core aspects of running the business, things like sales, the technical component, all those things. What I love though is that it's not like, okay, cool, you're set up. Bye. Like, good
See ya.
luck. We walk with our franchisees through the lifetime of their business, whether they've been in business 1 year or 3 years or 10 years or whatever. I have
Mhm.
personally witnessed our brand president, the CEO of Threshold Brands, fly to locations to help them get in the weeds with them in their business. And so this is
Mm.
something that we take a lot of pride in. We want to help them look into the back end of their business, continue driving profitability, really evaluating, okay, what's happening in the bottom line. Everyone
Mhm.
loves top line revenue. We're here for that. I'm here for that all day long. But we also want
Sure,
to make
sure.
sure that people are able to leverage our experience and the systems that we have in place to drive profitability in their business. And so that they've got a business coach and marketing coaching and sales training and all sorts of things that are constantly available to them to make sure that they have everything that they need when it comes to operating their business.
That's great. Without a top line, you don't have a bottom line. That's true, but the
Yep.
bottom line number really, really matters for sure.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when we think about you mentioned the kind of the one call close, right? This is
Sure.
sort of the approach or the operational standard. Do you have tools and systems that support a one call close process, or
Oh
or is
yeah.
it you really just need to be high charisma and go get it?
No, sir. So this is actually a couple months back. I visited one of our locations, and in the room, in their kind of like break room where their sales team meets, it had a big neon sign on the wall that says "Run the play," and I loved it. I
Okay.
actually took a photo because I'm like, this is exactly it. We have developed a really great system that we train all of our franchisees and their team on, and it takes them through a step-by-step process. And without revealing too much of our secret sauce, like
Sure.
it's a great process that they take them through. And I love this idea of, run the play. This works. It works again and again. And we've got a lot of tools also to help our salespeople refine and take a closer look and what's happening inside of the home and how we can continue to improve that experience. But yeah, for sure, very well refined. I would say a well refined system there.
System for that. Okay, good. You brought something up there that I didn't think to ask about earlier. We talk about ongoing training. Let's say we're hiring new technicians, we're hiring more salespeople. What options do the franchisees have? Do they just have to take, what they learned in onboarding, and are they responsible for doing the training of the play? Do they send people back to headquarters for some training? Or what's the way to keep growing and developing your team?
Yeah. So something that I think Threshold Brands, which is our parent company, and I mentioned this right because being part of USA Installation, you get access to not only everything that's inside of our amazing brand, but also this broader, sort of access to resources. And
Mhm.
across our entire portfolio, we have one of the most robust learning management systems that I've seen. And I love this,
Okay.
right? Because having been, a business owner myself and trained a lot of people myself, it's really great to know that there's a standardized place where you can go and learn more about your brand, our processes, those things. And so that takes a lot of the onus off of the owner and make sure that
Mhm.
there's standardization, which is awesome. Now, within that, USA Installation also has opportunities where new installers can come to, for a short 2-day training. There's a lot
Mhm.
of resources like that. And then throughout the year, we will host deeper dive trainings in different pockets of the country where
Oh,
we're
okay.
really focusing on different elements of the business. And, I think again at USA Installation and across our entire portfolio, this is a very franchisee focused system. We want to hear from our franchisees on what matters to them, what's most interesting, what are we going to dive deeper on. And so those ongoing trainings are places where we do exactly that.
I love it. That's great. That's a good story, and you have the track record behind it, right? When you've been around for 40 years and you have many successful franchisees, you've proven that the systems, the processes, the support, it's durable, right? Your growth isn't so rapid that you can't support the people that are coming in. The folks can operate their business and trust that you're there to have their back. I think that's
Yeah.
terrific. Good, good.
Yeah. We're in it with them.
Yeah, yeah. So when we think about just general why this is a good business, right? Like people who are considering franchising many times are looking at a lot of different categories or a lot
Mhm.
of different industries. What are some elements of the insulation business that, just kind of bullet points that make it a truly attractive business for people to consider? I know we've hit on several of them throughout the conversation, but maybe we funnel those all into a short list here.
Sure. I think US Installation is a great option for someone who is looking for a business that is in the home services, that is really in that. I like to think of it as that needs bucket versus the wants. This is not, oh, it'd be nice to have this. You're gonna have a really deep impact on your home by improving the insulation. And so I think that's really significant. You want something that's going to stand the test of time. Our brand in particular, especially during, in the last, gosh, 5 years or so, 5, 6 years, we've had a lot of things that have happened, and we've had really, consistent, steady growth. Even during the pandemic, our
Mhm.
franchisees continue to do really well. And so I love what I would call the durability of USA Insulation and this
Mhm.
space more generally, because, you're not going to be tossed to and fro from, by the changing winds. It's
Right,
this
right.
industry is here to stay. And I think that's really important, right? If you're looking to build a business with some longevity. I think this is also a great business for people who want to make, a positive impact inside of their community. I think we we see these stories emerge again and again from our franchisees where, yes, they're building a business, they're building a legacy, but they love hearing these stories from their customers of the couple who after 6 months can finally sleep in their bedroom again because it's no longer a sweltering jungle. They'd been sleeping in their basement for
Yes.
the last 6 months.
Oh
These
my.
things
Yeah, yeah.
are really impactful. So I think those are some of the components. I think that if you're looking for high ticket, high margin type of business, this is a great place for you when
Mhm.
you're really thinking, hey, I want to build something significant. This is a great option, right? Like if you were to take a look at our item 19, we have great numbers. And, I
Mhm.
think that that's important for a lot of people when they're looking
Yeah.
at a business model. And that again, that durability is pretty significant.
No, all good reasons, right? So the business itself, the impact you have on families, on people, what it does for the home in general. I mean, the list of benefits, as we've talked to the homeowner, right? Both efficiency and resale and easier to maintain, and I mean, just so better, lower cost in many cases
Sure,
to
yeah.
other approaches they can take. So it's just so many benefits to pull together there. So, thanks for that, Lynette. I guess as we wind down our conversation here, maybe when we think of a professional who's evaluating franchise ownership. If there was one thing someone should clearly remember about this conversation, or one thing you'd like them to clearly know about USA Insulation, what do you think it would be?
I
The
love this
one thing.
question. The one thing, so if there's one thing that I would hope someone would take away from this conversation is that USA Insulation is a really powerful business model if you are looking to get into the home services. This is a space where you have low competition because of our proprietary product. You're in a need the need bucket and essential type of service. This industry is not going anywhere. So very recession resistant. You also have a lot of, again, coming back to this word of like durability and long, long suffering against the many disruptions, we'll say, with
Sure.
technology and some of those things. This type of business is not going to be outsourced to AI anytime soon. And that's really significant in today's marketplace. I talk to people all the time who have lots of degrees and tons of experience who are their jobs are being outsourced like this, and this is a
Yeah.
business that's going to stand the test of time. So if you're looking for something in this space, it's definitely worth a conversation.
Worth the consideration. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, thank you. Lena, this was very helpful. I really appreciate the stories you told, the facts you delivered, and the way you presented it. Thank you so much for being here today.
It's my pleasure, Scott. Thank you so much for having me.
So there it is, USA Insulation. If this business feels worth exploring, I encourage you to approach it deliberately. Strong franchisors receive constant inbound interest, and they quickly recognize the candidates who are well prepared. I can help you become one of them. We'll take some time to confirm whether this truly suits you. We'll clarify your financial position and prepare you for a serious first conversation with USA Insulation. If you're well positioned and committed, I'll personally introduce you to Lynette. Book a no-cost 20-minute conversation with me and take the next step the right way.